Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone here in Melbourne. It's really a pleasure to be with you here today. And don't worry, I will try to keep it to English, which is hard enough for me in this country. So before I start, I really would like to express my sympathy and the support of our company for all of those of us in agriculture who suffered from the terrible bushfires. So it's really a tragedy. And in Bayer, we have tried to support some of the damages with significant financial contribution, but also help and support with products from our animal health and consumer health business. Being passionate myself about agriculture for more than 25 years and having worked in a number of different countries, this is really tragedy, but it's great to see that hopefully things now can move in the right direction. My team today is actually leading the strategy development for our company and is building our portfolio for the next 10, 15 years. And if you just consider of what's going on in agriculture and just look out here, it's probably the best job you can have in agriculture. So I'm really feeling privileged about this. I wanted to talk today with you about both some of the challenges that we see in agriculture, but more importantly, about some of the ideas we have to contribute to solutions. And these are some of the words that you will see in my presentation. It's all about connectivity and bringing actually people together to really build better solutions and other solutions for agriculture in the future. So our theory is that we need to have very different approaches going forward to solve some of these issues. Bayer is actually a company which for more than 160 years strongly believes in science and that science makes the world a better place and enables a better life for people. Today, we are strongly focused on life sciences. We have a pharmaceutical business, we have a consumer health business with probably the leading brand aspirin, and we have our crop science businesses. So we are focusing on two mega trends that we see for the next years to come, which is health and nutrition. And we are very excited that our company hopefully can contribute to overcome some of these challenges. As I said, there are a number of big challenges that the planet, that society, and that in particular agriculture is facing. And I will just deep dive a little bit into some of these major challenges that we see in front of us. Climate change is the first I will talk about, growing population, another one, and limited natural resources as a consequence, the third one. And these are themes that with us actually quite a number of years already. But I would argue that actually the last years, with some of the also societal developments, these have regained more and more importance and an urgent need to solve them. Climate change, and I think this has become really a top topic during the past 12 months, is becoming more and more a central focus of society, of governments, and also for us in agriculture. And I think the consequences and the negative impact of climate change in agriculture is often overlooked. When you just look at our seed business, we clearly see that already small deviations in average temperature shift the fit of varieties in certain areas dramatically. So we already today do see a significant impact of climate change on our products, and with that also the performance these products deliver to our customers around the globe. So we, I think, need to talk as an industry more about the challenges we face, but of course also, and that's the opportunity that we see here, talk about how agriculture can actually become part of the solutions, because we do actually have opportunities to reduce, not only reduce carbon emission, but sequestrate carbon, so become actually part of the solution for the planet. The other big main driver for us in agriculture is a growing population, a population also that becomes richer and becomes has different dietary patterns. Also, that is not a new development. What we do see right now, we will have another 2.2 billion people on this earth during the next 25 years to come. And if you consider when I was born, we only had 3. It's actually pretty amazing that we have this tremendous increase in world population so far, and nevertheless, we were able to feed most of them well. So it's a tremendous result that agriculture and our industry has delivered. But if we now look at what the next steps need to be, it's actually another big step for us to bring and produce 50% more food during the next 20 years to come, to really satisfy some of these demands that in particular develop in big parts of Asia. And at the same time, we need to do this in a different way. We need to limit the impact we have on our planet and actually produce 50% more food with less natural resources. And that is a challenge we are currently facing, and which we will need to really think through of how we can do this in a very different ways. So when we kind of look at this paradox, so how do we produce more food, better food, high quality food with less natural resources to preserve more parts of this planet? We clearly talk about a paradox where we need new ways and new paths, and also tremendous change in the way we look at agriculture. So our approach and our answer to this is what we call sustainable intensification. Sustainable intensification from our perspective means that we actually do agriculture in the best possible way on where we already located today. So increase quality and increase also the yield that we are going to produce. But at the same time, protect and preserve the habitats and parts of the planet where actually nature and biodiversity can further develop. So this is for us an important approach and aspect which we believe can and should contribute to actually solve part of the paradox we are currently facing. But our industry and also society is even more complex than that. We have further influences and impacts on our industry and our cycles. Our industry and parts of our products are actually highly regulated, and these hurdles are actually further increasing as we speak. So we have a continuous increase in demands to prove the safety of our products, which actually makes it harder and harder to bring new innovation to the marketplace. At the same time, food and food production is a highly emotional topic. So consumers have certain preferences, have certain beliefs, and we as an industry want to serve all of them. So we are facing with actually the question and the needs to further improve transparency of our production methods and ways, and actually also show consumers more than we have done in the past of how we produce food and how we produce our products. At the same time, we are facing a lot of opinions and information about agriculture, sometimes also misinformation that we need to face and that we also need to find answers to, and becoming actually more present also in the public debates around food and food production. So there are no easy answers, and there are certainly no answers that one company alone can give, and this is also why I am here today, looking to engage with as many of you as I can to really find some of these new pieces that we need to put together to find answers to the challenges I just described. I'm a natural optimist, and I think I can be, because there are lots of opportunities, and we certainly see those, and we have also the ambition as a company, but also as part of a broader industry to help and to find solutions to these challenges. Bayer today has leading market positions in all important crops. That would be corn and soybeans in the first place, but maybe a bit less known is also that we are the number one provider of seeds and traits and crop protection also to the horticultural business around the globe and to the cereals business. So in all of these areas, in all of these crop segments, we are a leading company which strongly believes in innovation and which also strongly believes in the balance of our portfolio to really help agriculture to develop, not just in some parts of the world, but around the earth. Plus, we believe that one other technology platform will transform agriculture significantly. We believe digital farming, digital technology, data will drive a transformation of agriculture and food production and will transform agriculture probably quicker than any other technology platform has done during the past 30 years. So this, I think, is an opportunity also for us here today to engage and to discuss of how data and how certain capabilities and new products can help agriculture to become more impactful and also more targeted. When we came together 2 years ago, basically, there was a strategic vision that guided our first month and first year. And I'm very happy to show to you that actually the strategic pillars that have guided us back then are even more relevant today. So building this new contribution that Bayer can give was clearly all around helping agriculture to move to the next level, or shaping agriculture, as we titled it back then, with also a clear benefit for our growers, to our customers, but even beyond that, to consumers and the planet. And we strongly believed, and we do so more than ever, that there are 3 areas and 3 pillars that will connect and will actually build these solutions of the future. We strongly believe that innovation in our core businesses is more important than ever. So building and developing new seed varieties, developing new crop protection products, chemical and biological, from our perspective, will lay the basis also for the future and will help farmers around the globe to better grow their products and defend their harvests. But we also believe that digital transformation needs to be the other important piece in this puzzle. Digital transformation will drive a more targeted way of agriculture, will allow us to better place our products, will also allow us to better recommendations and actually help us to build new business models around our solutions that are more output oriented rather than input oriented. And with that, The third pillar, so sustainability and new standards in sustainability, guide us in Bayer to actually link our sustainability commitments to our business models, to actually reduce the carbon footprint of agriculture, to reduce the environmental impact of agriculture, and also to reach more smallholder farmers globally. So we strongly believe that all these technology platforms and ambitions need to come together, and this is why connectivity and open innovation approaches are so important for us, much more important today than they were in the future. Let me quickly go through these pillars and these elements to name a few examples and to give you a bit of a flavor of where we are currently working on. First is on innovation. So innovation in seeds is and will be important also in the future. This is a picture of some of our corn varieties, and you see actually what area, what acreage you needed in 1940, in 1980, in 2000, and so on, to produce 10 bushels of corn. And you see the tremendous progress that innovation, new seed varieties have delivered. So today, actually, we only need a fraction of the area to produce 10 bushels of corn. And this is extremely important because it allows us to produce more on actually fewer acres, fewer land, which I think if you move forward, is one answer to how can we produce more food actually on less land. What we are personally very excited about is the next dimension in corn, which is what we call short stature corn, which is a shorter version of the corn we currently use and produce and plant, with quite a number of benefits that will feed into the sustainability targets we have given. Short-statured corn, for instance, is more stable. It uses less water. It actually allows also for agronomic practices which are much more targeted. For instance, you can drive into the cornfield with your normal machinery and can, for instance, apply crop protection product in a more targeted way than you could otherwise do with an airplane. So there are some very tangible benefits which actually contribute both to the ambition to produce better and more, but on the other side, actually to reduce the impact on the environment, less water, which is a big topic in this land, but also less environmental impact. This is just one example, and I fully realize that corn is not the leading crop here in Australia, but we have similar developments ongoing and improvement potential in all other crops as well. In this regard, we do actually have fantastic partnerships on the innovation side with Australia and with important partners here in Australia for quite some time. And I just want to mention a few. We have a fantastic research partnership with Grain Research and Development Corporation when it comes to finding new herbicides to combat glyphosate-resistant weeds. So this is a fantastic partnership that is in place for quite some years and which is already delivering new candidates that we are currently testing, specifically also for Australia, to build new solutions in weed management for Australia, but also for other parts of the world. In cotton, we have a partnership with CSIRO, which actually allows us and allows Australia to really be at the forefront of cotton production and being actually the country with the highest yielding cotton varieties and actually accelerating this innovation cycle even more. We do significantly invest also within our internal organization in Australia. I would argue we are one of the largest R&D investors in the country. Plus, during the last 2 days, I actually have seen and have discussed with a number of startups here in Australia, in the digital space and in others, which actually makes me very excited. So this is truly one of the hotspots of innovation in agriculture. And in Bayer, we are very committed to build these partnerships and progress them, help these startups to further develop, open up markets and segments for them, and of course also bringing some of that innovation into our own solutions. So we are very excited about this and looking forward for a discussion later today. So let me talk a little bit about data. Digital transformation has destroyed, has changed, has lifted other industries already during the past 20 years. In agriculture, this has not yet really happened. Why? Agriculture, as we all know, is pretty complex, but we do see that data now is at a point where it will significantly transform agriculture. It will bring more transparency. It will allow us to internally actually be much more efficient the way we analyze our seeds, we develop our seeds, but also the way we apply our products. And it will allow us also to actually build new ambitions and new business models around this. By actually advising and recommending better solutions, we are able to link our offerings to the output, because that's really what our growers, what our customers want. They are interested in what can they produce, what quality and what yield can they expect. And we can help them, and we can also actually build business models around this, where we price our products according to the output that we are enabling our customers to achieve, which actually is a big paradigm shift in our industry, because then also for us it's no longer about the more we sell, the better it is, but it's focusing on a common goal with our customers on producing better and more. So we are very excited about this. We are currently experimenting some of that, and we will do so also in Australia. And all of that is enabled through data. We are also excited about some developments and new technologies that we see here in Asia Pacific. Applications of crop protection products by drones is one very important new evolution. We see a lot of that in China. We see some of that in Japan and in more countries. And here also, again, there is a clear link between the application of products and data. So it's an important data platform which allows us to learn and also through artificial intelligence better understand where our products have a fit, and in general being much more targeted and actually apply our products only there where these are needed. So we have one partnership with XAG. There are more to come, and it's just one example of our interest to actually collaborate with companies, with startups who are engaging in these precision agriculture instruments. So let me, towards the end, talk about some of the commitments that as a company we have made in the area of sustainability. And this was from the very beginning one of our strategic objectives, to actually elevate our commitments to the industry and to sustainability to another level. So we want to help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 30% in the largest emitting crop schemes. And we are actually quite confident that through innovation, through digital and through new business models, this is possible. And I think it's also very exciting to see that this development can lead and will lead to a different perception that parts of society have about agriculture. What if we actually could move not only to carbon zero crop segments and carbon zero agricultural practices, but eventually even to carbon minus and carbon sequestrating crop systems. So then out of a sudden, agriculture would be the solution to the discussion we are currently having, and that's one path where we are very excited about. We want to further reduce the environmental impact of chemical crop protection in particular, and we want to do that with a number of different initiatives. One is modern crop protection products which have a better environmental profile. Second, again, through digital, we believe we can be more targeted and therefore also reduce volumes. And this, from our perspective, will also help to, on the one hand side, make production even more efficient, but at the same time also shift the societal perception that society has around agriculture. And last but not least, as I said earlier, we expect more than 2 billion new people on this earth, mainly in Asia and Africa, and we just need to accelerate the path to help these regions to build up a more stable, a more robust food production system. So we are committed to actually help 100 million smallholder farmers with new solutions and help them to build their business and elevate their standard of living. So with that, obviously, we want to contribute to quite a number of the sustainability development goals of the United Nations. And it's not only about hunger and other ag-related things, but I do believe personally that agriculture in many parts of the world has a very strong role to play also in the development of rural areas, and therefore bringing also wealth to parts of the country which otherwise have no other sector to support them. So let me finish here with summarizing of where we as a company want to go and where we want to contribute. Shaping agriculture, that's our ambition. So really bringing agriculture to the next level. And we strongly believe that a number of elements are important here to make this happen. World-class innovation, digital transformation, and higher standards in sustainability. But this will only work if we connect these, and this will only work if we bring connectivity to a number of startups, companies, customers around the globe, because no one will be able and is able to solve all the issues by himself. It's really all about combining these ideas for the greater good of food production and ultimately to help our planet to cope with the increase in population, but at the same time actually lower and limit the impact that agriculture has. And with that, I strongly believe that if we meet here in a few years' time again, hopefully we see also the signs where agriculture is recognized as part of the solution to move and to help and to solve these topics, including the topic of climate change, because that would be fantastic news, I think, for all of us that are passionate about agriculture. So with that, I want to close here. Would like to thank you for your attention and looking forward to a Q&A session. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Frank. We have got some microphones that are just down in the aisles right now. So if you do have a question, the best way to do it is just to come and stand up at the microphone. And I am going to, you're not going to understand this, but I'm just going to say it. I'm going to channel my inner Tony Jones. And so comments, no. Questions, yes. Okay? You don't get that reference. It's an Australian TV reference. So can you just introduce yourself very briefly, where you're from, and then your question? And that should be on, yes.
That's working. My name's David Campbell, and I really enjoyed your presentation because some of your forebears in St. Louis I worked with 30 years ago. I worked in Monsanto, involved with the development of Roundup here in Australia, and the early work to bring GM cotton to Australia with CSIRO. So it's really pleasing to see all of this now. One of the things that struck me back then working with people in St. Louis was their ability to not just foresight but farsight some of the innovations required in agriculture. A lot of the technologies you've presented today have been around for 20, 30 years and now being optimised. What about the foresighting and farsighting that is a St. Louis tradition? Is that being carried on as well?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think that's a question for the room here. And again, the way I would like to look at it, there is certainly a continuous innovation required in the core of what we do. I strongly believe that the world, that agriculture needs better seeds also in the future, because that's one thing that cannot be digitalized, right? You need to put something in the ground. The new technology shifts, again, I think come, from my perspective, out of the life science area in general. So gene editing has huge promises, but it's also just at the start of its contribution to agriculture. And then I want to come back to digital technology. I think we cannot underestimate the impact digital technology will have on agriculture. And I'm a true believer that digital will lead us into a better place. It will allow us to combine the pieces we have in a better way, and it will also allow us to innovate quicker. So if I have to pick one, then it's clearly digital, and that wasn't around 10 years ago. It's only coming now, and look here, look outside. It's actually thrilling and really energizing to see how much is going into that. And that, for me, is one of the key drivers for the next years to come.
We have time for one or two more questions. This is a great opportunity right now. Yes, thank you. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Alice. I work here in Melbourne for the Australian Agribusiness Group. I was just wondering, you're saying you're working towards having the agricultural industry as net zero carbon emissions. What is Bayer actually doing to contribute, or what's your strategy? How are you hoping to help achieve that?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the question. So there's a number of things that we are currently starting to do. I mean, one is new products, be it now biologics, but also certain seed varieties which help us to actually reduce carbon emissions and to work towards that goal of carbon zero. There are also areas where we are currently looking at which traditionally were not in our scope. One example is cover crops. So in parts of the world, cover crops actually can play an important role to further increase the quality of the soil, and with that also sequestrate more carbon. And that's one important element which probably we have not done a couple of years ago, but now with this additional objective is coming into our picture. And then in general enabling some of these first ideas of carbon trading models in our industry, because that, of course, for me would be fantastic if growers would be rewarded, also financially rewarded, with agronomic practices that leads to actually reduction in carbon emission. And that would be a double win, I think, for agriculture. It would actually generate additional income for growers, but it would also foster innovation.
Yeah, my name's Tony Gleeson. I'm a co-host a show on community radio in Geelong on sustainability. Frank, a couple of things I thought that you may have mentioned. One is nutrition, like the role that plays in your work, and the role of building soil biota. Those two things. Is that on your radar at all?
Yes. So nutrition, of course, plays a very important role when you think about what is happening in the field, what is driving yield and what is quality, but also what eventually is driving a better setup to optimize carbon and carbon sequestration. This is one example where we want to further collaborate and partner with nutrition companies around the globe. So we have not an ambition to build our own nutrition offering, but this is where digital helps to actually connect us and then together build better recommendations and better schemes for farmers. So I think a very good example of where we do not want to do it our own, but where we want to partner. Same is true for the other question. I think there are so many other areas in the area of enzymes, soil, and the microbiome in general, where we currently have a couple of research partnerships where we see huge potential, but where we see our role as connecting in and enabling and actually fostering some of that innovation that comes from partners and in a lot of cases smaller companies.
And one final question. This man with the tremendous mustache was waving to me up the back, so I couldn't not call on him. Sorry.
Thank you. Bit too tall. Thanks, Frank. My question to you is, you mentioned digitalisation and how everyone's got access to information. That also gives them the ability to voice an opinion as a statement of fact. I'm an irrigated farmer from northwest New South Wales, and I'm told I have very little social licence. Something I'm sure Bayer sometimes struggles with too. If agriculture is going to be accepted as part of the solution to climate change, how do we convince people of our role in that and be allowed to some sort of socialise to do what we do and contribute the way we know we can?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think there's a number of dimensions to the answer. One is, of course, communicating more and being more outspoken about what we do and also more transparent in general as an industry. I do believe, however, with some of the ambitions I've shared with you, and many other companies, of course, have similar ambitions, we have more concrete targets, more concrete goals that we can also actually monitor and relate back to. And if there's one good thing about the discussion about climate change right now, from my perspective, is that the emission of carbon in general is relatively good to monitor. And therefore, I believe concrete contribution that we can make as agriculture will be in a better way explainable to society. And with that, I'm also convinced that part of society will see this as an additional contribution to the solution. So I'm quite optimistic about this. Digital will help as well to measure, to monitor, to document. And these are the pieces we need to get together. But again, this is nothing for one company. This is for the industry. This is for partnerships. And we are very open to be one of these partners in the future.
Frank, I want to say thank you to Bayer for their support, and thank you to your good self for being here today and coming all the way to this side of the world. You did have an ulterior motive, though. You told me, what's the real reason? Why are you really here?
Yeah, I was joking behind the screen. So last time what I was here was 5 years ago. And obviously, I had to buy a nice pair of Aussie boots from I.M. Williams. They are almost destroyed now, so I had to come back to upgrade. And that's what I want to do here now.
So hopefully we'll see you sooner than 5 years' time. But thank you so much.
Hopefully earlier.
Today.
Thank you.
Frank Terhorst, well done.